Good people YouTube, I'm the Watch Idiot, and hopefully all of you in the US minus Arizona and Hawaii adapted to springing forward an hour for daylight saving time and then reset the time on all of your watches, which is by far the most irritating part of this entire thing. And yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah. So daylight saving time is actually kind of connected to the Seiko SNE569P1 that I've now owned for over 6 months, and that's because I've only managed to get accuracy readings for a few months at a time instead of going for, you know, years and years to come. But I digress because I have a lot to talk about in going over all my experiences with the SNE569P1, which is such an awesome little watch. And yeah, I mean, overall, as I said, it's been an awesome experience, but there were definitely some drawbacks, and I have made some big changes to the bracelet that really changed the experience of the entire watch for the better. So if you own this watch or if you want to get it, you know, definitely stick around to the end to see what I did to the bracelet that just made the watch so much better. Also, let's make this video serve as the official petition, I guess, force Uncle Seiko to make some endlinks or an entire bracelet for this watch, because in my last video comparing it to the SPB143, quite a few of you guys mentioned that it would be pretty awesome to see some sort of bracelet upgrade for this watch. So yeah, this is our chance. So just make it happen. Comment down below, and of course, thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. So more about them later on in the video, but okay, yeah, let's get into it right now. Okay, so before we get into it, let's recap how this watch feels on the wrist by going through the dimensions. And here are the dimensions over here, and the most notable dimensions are of course the 38mm case width, the 46.6 millimeter lug to lug, and the 10.7mm thickness. And on the wrist, it wears true to size. It does wear like a 38mm watch, maybe a touch less, but sometimes a touch more than that, depending on the situation. And we have the 10.7mm thickness, which makes the watch sit extremely comfortably on the wrist, and it just makes for an overall balanced wearing experience alongside the bracelet or any other strap that you might put it on. Compared to some other watches, it wears smaller than the 39mm Black Bay 58, and it wears a bit smaller than the Sarbo 17 Alpinist. But all in all, I do love the size so much, because this isn't really a common dive watch size for Seiko for some reason. I mean, they really should be making many more 38 to 40mm divers. I mean, in between this and then the SPB143. Come on, we just need more options. Come on. Okay, so there are many things that I liked about this watch and actually loved about this watch over the past 6 months, and that I grew to love even more. But a lot of these things were things that I loved right from the start. So first off, I still cannot get enough of the color combination. I mean, I've said this so many times before, but my favorite color is gray, and here they paired a gray bezel with a black dial. So this version was pretty much the perfect one for me. So going on with the aesthetics, I think they made a very handsome watch in terms of the overall design, because it's classic looking, but the lugs are a little bit more muscular. I mean, it also has some modern Seiko touches. However, the main Seiko touch that I love is that they brushed the sides of the case, and on top of that, they polished the bevel running on the top of the case. Because and yeah, I mean, whenever I see this little detail on a watch, I mean, it pretty much immediately takes the watch to the next level. Yeah, I just love it. I just love it. Also, I love the entire bezel, because if it was a garbage design, not even a gray bezel insert would be able to have saved it. I love that the bezel grip is prominent but not so in your face, while not being too subdued. I mean, it strikes like just like the right balance of being tooly yet chill. And the really cool detail is that there's a sort of concentric circle pattern that you sometimes see on chronograph subdials. But yeah, I've never seen that done on a bezel before. But yeah, I am really happy that they went this way, because it just adds an extra level of light play, I guess, if I have to use that once again, and just a interesting visual element on an otherwise relatively pretty safe design. Yeah, and all this would have been for nothing if the watch wasn't comfortable. And yeah, this watch is seriously one of the most comfortable watches that I own easily. And a big part of that is the bracelet. So the bracelet has some other problems which we're gonna get into in the next section, and actually some of them slash most of them I would say I've solved as well, but it's really impossible for me to disregard the comfort of any bracelet because it's one of those things that I'm extremely picky about because I need bracelets to fit perfectly, and this cheap bracelet does get it right. And weirdly enough, despite it having hollow end links, it overall feels super solid. I mean, to the point that I've, pretty much forgotten that it has hollow end links. And yeah, this has been the case throughout the entire 6 months. Also, I happen to love that this is a quartz watch. I mean, it's just ready to go whenever I want to wear it. I mean, it's remained accurate throughout the entire time, even after changing the time for DST. Probably only like 2-3 seconds a month, maybe something like that. And the second hand hits the marks perfectly, so yeah, happy days. Oh, and speaking of the hands, another very nice and kind of unexpected touch is that the hands are brushed, which is awesome because it just looks so good. I'm not really sure why more watches don't do this. It's just weird because it just looks so good. So yeah, good job Seiko for keeping it interesting. And keeping things interesting here, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of interesting and eye-opening classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills. At the start, it actually kind of took me a long time to choose which class I wanted to take first because there are just so many good ones out there. So I had to save a bunch of them just so I can remember to go through them. I mean, one thing is for sure is that I will not run out of classes to take. So I started off taking outdoor photography, see, shoot, and share the beauty around you with Min T, and it's been a lot of fun honing the craft because I love architecture and nature photography, and we're heading into spring and summer, so I'll be ready to go. But alongside a big selection of photography courses, you can find all sorts of other courses on gardening, productivity, entrepreneurship, drawing. I mean, so many things, so many things. So yeah, if you've been wanting to learn something new, now you can anytime on your phone or on your computer, thanks to Skillshare. And by using the special link in the description, you can get 1 month free trial to really experience what Skillshare has to offer, which is a lot. Okay, so now on to the not so great things. And yeah, I think that this entire section is pretty much about the bracelet because while it is a super comfy bracelet, I mean, there's just so many things that's just not right with it. So things that I still don't like are the single piece links, which makes them look kind of cheap, and the fact that the end links are hollow, and finally the fact that the bracelet only has a 2mm taper. I mean, yeah, these issues are just made worse considering that this watch has a sticker price of $500, and that's a lot of money for a watch with such a basic bracelet. I mean, but obviously you can get it for less than $500 and that thing's changed, but still. So in my initial review, I mentioned that the clasp was a cheap off-the-shelf clasp with a basic diver's extension, which we've seen on a lot of Seiko divers alongside this bracelet. But after a while, I noticed that the extension portion of the clasp really started bothering me because that part kind of jutted into my wrist for some reason. Beyond that, I know that there are people who aren't a fan of these clasps on pretty much any watch. So what I ended up doing is that I switched that out for a super common chunky deployment clasp that's found on pretty much every single strap code bracelet and also on so many micro brand bracelets too. Yeah, this really helped the watch feel a bit more solid, and on the wrist, the balance still remained good, despite it being a bit heavier. But yeah, I mean, it's a comfortable clasp for a very comfortable watch. Nothing to complain of here. But if you want to take it another step further, I was checking the mid-link widths on all my watches because that's what I do with my time. But I noticed that the mid-link gap over here is the same as the mid-link of the Uncle Seiko 1450 bracelet that's made for the Speedmaster and the Black Bay 58. So what I did is that I put that bracelet on the SNE with standard non-Seiko Fat Boy spring bars and the original SNE hollow end links, and it worked so much better than I expected, and it looks insanely good too. And actually, since it has hollow end links, I could keep the end links pretty snug on the case by squeezing them a little bit, and then the bracelet itself was pretty secure, but it was just a little bit loose, but that's just down to the smaller diameter spring bars kind of moving around in the bigger lug hole. But in terms of how it felt on wrist, I mean, it was incredible because the watch is already a relatively light watch, but putting it on this, you know, sturdy yet lightweight bracelet made the watch even more comfortable, which I didn't know was possible. So this is why I wanted to make a petition of sorts. So yeah, just comment down below if you want something like this for the SNE569 or the other variations. Yeah, let's let Uncle Seiko know that we want at least some solid end links that are compatible with his current bracelets, or just a full bracelet made for this particular line, because this already has like 6 or 7 variations and they updated it, and I can see more things happening with this line. So to put my money where my mouth is, I would be willing to send my 569 to Larry for him to do whatever he needs to do to make these things happen, because that would just be so good. So there you have it. It is a seriously awesome watch that you should absolutely consider and probably should just go ahead and buy. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure that this watch will feel even better once when it has an Uncle Seiko bracelet on it. So yeah, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course hit the subscribe button to stay on top of the channel and just to help out the channel and just be an awesome person. And yeah, until the next video, good day.